My husband kept a locked box under his bed. My husband kept a locked box under his bed. I found it on a Tuesday morning while I was looking for a pair of shoes. It was old, black, metal, and heavy enough that I had to use both hands to pull it out. There was a small silver lock on the front. I stared at it for almost a minute. Then I heard my husband behind me. "What are you doing?" I turned around. Daniel was standing in the doorway. His face had completely changed. He wasn't angry. He looked scared. "What's in the box?" He didn't answer. "Daniel?" He looked at the box, then at me. "Put it back." That was all he said. And somehow that made me want to know what was inside more than ever. My name is Claire. I've been married to Daniel for 11 years. And at the time I found that box, I was already having an affair. Daniel didn't know that. Or at least, I didn't think he did. The man I was seeing was named Marcus. And for almost 8 months, I'd been telling myself that Marcus was the person who finally made me feel alive again. I didn't realize the locked box under my husband's bed would make me question everything I thought I knew about both of them. Daniel and I met when we were 25. He was quiet, responsible, patient, the kind of person who thought about things before speaking. I used to love that about him. Eventually, I started resenting it. I wanted spontaneity. I wanted excitement. I wanted someone who would look at me like I was the most fascinating person in the room. Daniel still loved me, but he'd stopped surprising me. I'd convinced myself that meant he'd stopped loving me. Then Marcus came into my life. He worked in another department at my company. He was funny, confident, flirtatious. He made me feel young again. Our conversations started innocently. Then they became personal. Then secret. Then physical. The first time Marcus kissed me, I knew I should walk away. Instead, I kissed him back. After that, the lies became easier. I told Daniel I was working late. I told him I was meeting friends. I deleted messages. I changed passwords. I started carrying my phone everywhere, even into the shower. And Daniel never confronted me. That made me believe I was getting away with it. Then I found the box. "What is it?" I asked again. Daniel looked at me. "Nothing you need to worry about." I laughed. "There's a locked metal box under our bed, and you're telling me I don't need to worry about it?" "Yes." "Then what's inside?" He paused. "Something personal." That answer bothered me. "Personal?" He nodded. "Please put it back." I should have. Instead, I waited until he left for work. Then I went looking for the key. I searched his nightstand. Nothing. His dresser. Nothing. His office. Nothing. Then I noticed something. A small key taped underneath the bottom drawer of his desk. My heart started pounding. I took the key. I went back to the bedroom. I unlocked the box. Inside were dozens of envelopes, photographs, old documents, and a small black notebook. I picked up the first envelope. It had my name on it. I opened it. Inside was a letter. From Daniel. It was dated 9 years earlier, 2 years into our marriage. I started reading. "Claire, I don't know if I'll ever give you this. You told me today that you're afraid you'll wake up one day and realize you've wasted your life. And I don't know how to make you believe that being happy doesn't always mean being excited. I wish I knew how to explain that." I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. I opened another envelope. My name again. Another letter, then another, and another. They were all letters Daniel had written to me over the years. Letters he'd never given me. Some were about our marriage. Some were about arguments we'd had. Some were about moments he'd never forgotten. Our first anniversary. The day I lost my job. The day my father died. The first Christmas in our house. I started crying. Then I found the photographs. They were pictures of us. Not posed pictures. Real ones. Me sleeping on the couch, me laughing at a restaurant, me standing in the kitchen, me holding a cup of coffee on our balcony, moments I didn't even remember. And then I found something that made my stomach drop, a photograph of me and Marcus. My hands went cold. It was taken outside a hotel. I stared at it. Someone had known. Daniel had known. I kept digging. There were more photographs, different days, different places, different outfits. There was no doubt. He knew about the affair. Then I found the notebook. The first page had one sentence. I know. I sat on the floor. For the first time, I understood why Daniel had looked frightened when he saw me holding the box. It wasn't because I had discovered some secret he was hiding from me. It was because I had discovered the truth. I read the notebook. Daniel had written about the affair. He knew when it started. He knew where we'd met. He knew Marcus's name. He knew about the hotel. He knew about the lies. But he never confronted me. Instead, he wrote. One entry said, I could ask her tonight, but if she lies, I don't know what I'll do. Another, maybe she's unhappy because I stopped paying attention. Another, I don't want her to stay because she's afraid of hurting me. I couldn't breathe. Then I found the last entry. It was dated 3 days earlier. Tomorrow I am giving her the box. I stared at the words. Tomorrow. Daniel had planned to show it to me. He hadn't planned on confronting me. He'd planned on giving me a choice. That evening, Daniel came home. The box was sitting on the kitchen table. He stopped when he saw it. You opened it. I nodded. I'm sorry. He looked at me. You don't have to apologize for opening it. Why didn't you tell me? He sat down. Because I wanted to. Then why didn't you? Because every time I tried, I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid you'd stay because I caught you. I started crying. I didn't want that. I know. How long have you known? He looked down. 6 months. I felt sick. 6 months? He nodded. Why didn't you leave? He looked at the box. Because I wasn't ready. Ready for what? To accept that the woman I married might not love me anymore. I couldn't speak. Then he said, but I wasn't sure. About what? About whether you were unhappy with me. Or unhappy with yourself. That sentence destroyed me. I had spent months blaming Daniel, but he'd spent months wondering whether he'd failed me. I told him everything. No excuses, no minimizing, no blaming the marriage. I told him about Marcus, the messages, the hotels, the lies, everything. Daniel listened. When I finished, he asked, do you love him? I didn't know. I thought I did. Daniel nodded. That's what I was afraid of. Then he asked, do you love me? I started crying. Yes. He looked at me. But you weren't choosing me. I shook my head. No. I was choosing what I thought I wanted. He nodded. The next morning, Marcus called me. Are you leaving your husband? I looked at the locked box. I don't know. Marcus was quiet. That's not what I expected. I don't know what I want anymore. He sighed. I think you should figure that out without me. I closed my eyes. Marcus. I mean it. The affair ended that day. Daniel and I separated. Not because he hated me, because neither of us knew how to fix what had happened. For months, we lived apart. I went to therapy. I read the letters again. And I realized something. Daniel hadn't written those letters because he wanted to prove how much he loved me. He wrote them because he didn't know how to say it out loud. He had spent years quietly recording the moments that mattered to him. While I had spent years complaining that our marriage wasn't exciting enough, one afternoon I called him. Can I see you? We met at the same coffee shop where we'd had our first date. I brought the box. I put it on the table. I think this belongs to you. He smiled. Keep it. I looked at him. Why? Because you finally read what I was too afraid to say. I started crying. Do you still love me? He took a long breath. Yes. But? But I don't know if love is enough. I nodded. I understand. We didn't get back together immediately. We started talking, then seeing each other, then slowly rebuilding. There were no grand promises, no dramatic proposal, no instant forgiveness, just small things. Coffee together, long conversations, honesty. Eventually, Daniel asked me something. Do you want to come home? I cried. Yes. He nodded. Then come home. A year later, the box was still under our bed, but it wasn't locked anymore. One night, I asked Daniel why he'd kept it. He smiled. Because I was afraid that if I gave you everything I'd written, you'd realize how much I loved you and stay for the wrong reason. I looked at him. You were wrong. About what? I didn't realize how much you loved me. He smiled. I know. I put my head on his shoulder. For years, I thought the problem with our marriage was that Daniel wasn't exciting enough. Now I understood. He wasn't supposed to keep me constantly excited. He was supposed to be there. And he was. The locked box under our bed had looked like evidence of a secret life. Instead, it contained proof of the life we'd already lived. Every letter, every photograph, every memory, and one terrible truth. My husband had known about my affair. But even after discovering it, he had spent more time remembering why he loved me than planning how to hurt me. The box was locked for years, not because Daniel wanted to hide his secrets, because he was afraid that if I opened it, I'd finally understand how much I'd been loved. And once I understood that, I could never again pretend I hadn't known what I was throwing away.